Who has really inspired Adrian Barraclough?
When people mention inspirational figures to them, it's almost always some big celebrity that they've replicated and followed. Now in that field with me it's Anita Ruddick. She's just an absolute inspiration. I was absolutely blessed that I wrote to her and let her know what I thought about her when I was doing my learning, my college, and I did some work at university looking at the body shop. I went to meet her, and the time with her was unbelievable.
I was a teacher. I had worked for the United Nations, the International Labour Office. I had travelled, and that was really, for me, wherever I travelled, I was usually in arenas not of Western type civilization, but in areas where indigenous people were. So I lived a lot of the time in Western Africa, South Africa, a lot of the Indian Ocean Islands, Pacific Ocean Islands, and everywhere I travelled, I lived in fishing communities, and I picked up the rituals of the body. Women are good at that, men are lousy at it, but women will take birth, marriages and death. Oh, what are you doing in your body then? Oh, so you put yogurt there. So those became it was like a sort of a closet anthropologist. When I came back from the travels, and 10 years later, in my early 30s, I decided to open up this little shop, and it's only going to tread water for 2 years, and then we're going off to, I think, Australia to open up a pineapple plantation. Got the money, £4,000 from the miserable Barclays bank manager, who didn't give it to me actually, probably because I was wearing a Bob Dylan t-shirt and jeans, and I had my 2 kids destroying his office. But bank managers don't like enthusiasm. So I was going, I've got this great idea, and it's going to be called The Body Shop, and I have all these knowledgeable ingredients from wise women around the world. Well, the guy, I think, thought I was going to open up Brighton's first sex shop or something. So he didn't give me the money. So Gordon, my husband, came back with me, and I looked like a man. So I wore my pinstripe suit, and we had a plastic sheet we'd just come into, plastic folder, had a profit and loss thing, which we didn't even know what we were doing. And he gave Gordon the £4,000, not me. Gordon handed me the money, and he went off to do his trip, and I opened up this little shop in Brighton. First day I was in trouble because my shop was between 2 funeral parlours, and they didn't like the coffins passing my shop with the words "The Body Shop" over the side. So they told me to close the name down, change the name of The Body Shop, which I couldn't do because I just spent £700, doing gold leaf lettering, and nobody could see anyway. I then did something very smart. I did an anonymous phone call to the local newspaper to say I'm being intimidated by mafia undertakers. And my husband had just deserted me. So, I knew how to talk to people. So I started. The 25 products, useless. It was about as big as the table we're sitting on. So what I did was, and this is what entrepreneurial thinking is about, I did 5 sizes of everything. So it looked like over 100 products. Smart, eh? Handwritten labels, not so smart because all the writing ran in the bath when anybody did it. And so we survived. But we had stories. Every product had a story. How I made it, what mistake I made. Don't worry about the black bits, they're the dirty footprints of the bees, just scoop it out. Lovely anecdotes. Anecdotes adhere to the mind. Gordon came back, I'd opened up a second shop, and he sort of said, this is interesting. So we came up with this idea of self-finance. We didn't even know the word franchising exists. And my friends were saying, oh, you can do this, I can do this. So we covered, we just painted the shop green. It was the only colour that covered the damp patches. Now it's the colour of the environment. And we just had friends and sold to them, and we had this alignment of friends. And then we got a bit more professional and set up a franchise system, which really meant, it was very eccentric, because nobody was allowed to be a franchise if they were business orientated, because we wanted teachers, we wanted activists. And I remember we gave them the Marcel Proust questionnaire. How would you like to die? What's your favorite color? What car do you have? We added this one. And what car do you want? So it jumped from a VW Golf to a Mercedes. We said, we don't like that type. It was so hokey pokey, I can't tell you. But what was really brilliant about it, it was community. It was and we were learning from the Quakers. We were learning from the cooperative movement. We were learning from the Amishes. We were so excited about setting up community, of the development of the human spirit within the workplace, not just a product. And we're a very strong communications company. So we grew. Our real reality, if the truth be known, is we weren't a product-led company. We had great products, thank God. That's when we closed down. It was about campaigning for human rights.
The passion that she's got, the fact that when she died, her children were left nothing. And the children said, we discussed this with Mum, we didn't want to be left with anything because she's given us more in life, in learning, in ethics, in morals, in purpose than she ever could have done with money.